Hello and welcome to Ramblings of a 42-Year-Old Man. Chris Smith here with you, and we're back from a little bit of a hiatus. It's been little crazy here in the house recently with our floors being redone and everything. I just have not had the chance to sit down and do a video in a little while, so I'll have an update on the floors sometime a little bit later. But I did want to talk about some of the movies that I've seen recently, and we're going to start with today's video about a pair of movies. It's actually parts 1 and 2 of a series that I just found leafing around on the VOD channels the other day, and this is called Horror in the High Desert, and it was a 2021 film. It is styled in a kind of pseudo-documentary format with some found footage as well. So this pseudo-documentary look has been used quite well in one of my favorite horror movies. It's called Lake Mungo, which we'll probably have to do a video about that on one of the movies I love eventually. But pretty much it's set as like, it almost looks like you're watching a 20/20 or 60-minute segment with interviewees and stuff. Kind of think of like the first 5 minutes or so of the Blair Witch Project, where they're interviewing people in the town before they jump into the woods. That kind of vibe for most of the movie. And then there's a little bit of found footage at the very end of it as well. So the original one, the first movie that came out in 2021, Horror in the High Desert, revolves around a kind of extreme camper who goes into the high desert of the Nevada mountains. And during one of his treks, he finds looks like an abandoned shack. But then he hears noises. It's kind of like the middle of the night, so he gets really freaked out and he runs off. And he's posting all of these blogs about his hiking and his adventures. He doesn't necessarily record his hikes, but he talks about them afterwards on a blog. And he's talking about them, and he gets kind of a lot of his followers don't believe that he saw this, and they want proof. So he plans to go back out there and with video and get proof. And then he disappears. And so that's kind of the pre-part of what we're actually watching. Most of what we are watching at the beginning is interviews with his family, his roommate, a news reporter, a private investigator who's been part of the case trying to find him, and talks about all of the everything that's kind of happening at the time, how he got lost, how they found out about it, what they started to do, how the case was opened, where they were looking, and then eventually they find his backpack has been dropped off at this other trailer or house that's kind of near the desert, and purposely dropped off, and inside is his like video footage and stuff from his last trip, which then is the very last part of the movie is watching that video footage, which is some of the best found footage stuff I have seen in a long time. There's one shot in this movie that had every hair on my body standing on end. It was insane. My legs tickle now just thinking about it. But it is the first time I've had that kind of a feeling, possibly since Blair Witch, honestly. There's been a lot of found footage in between that have some pretty good stuff as well, but that was really, it was for one thing, it was just a surprise. I literally found this just looking around online. I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. Let's give it a shot, because I liked Lake Mungo so much. I thought that this would be fun, and it was better than I could have thought, just because of the creepiness factor of the end. Now, I'll say up front, very, very slow. I mean, you're probably looking at, out of a maybe an hour and 15-minute movie, an hour of it is the interview stuff. You're watching people talking about things that are going on. If that is not your jam, you might be bored. Understandable. But man, the last 15 minutes of it are some pretty intense stuff. I was on the edge of my seat for sure watching it, and was very, very impressed with what I saw. So they've already done a sequel to this, which came out just this year, called Horror in the High Desert 2, and then there's a subtitle, Minerva. And this one follows a girl named Minerva who has moved into a kind of a rental trailer that's kind of on the edge of this Nevada desert area, doing some sort of school kind of work, I think. I can't quite remember exactly what her reasoning for being there was, but it was something where like she was doing some sort of school or geology kind of work, and the only place they had to put her up in was this trailer, because there's a housing shortage in the area. And so her story pretty much revolves around a lot of creepy noises at night. There's a a basement to this trailer that nobody really knows about, that somebody could possibly be living in. They find other videos of previous people who have lived in this trailer, and a lot of creepy stuff going there. This one is much more of the found footage than the first one. The original one had maybe, the last 10 to 15 minutes is the found footage stuff, which was really great. This one has it kind of spread out throughout the movie. Probably at least 50% of the movie is found footage versus the mockumentary style of the first one. That being said, I don't know. There was a couple creepy moments in this one too, but I think I don't want to say overindulgence, but the fact that they used the found footage more made it not quite as impactful as what we got in the first movie. So I definitely liked the first movie a little bit more. Still enjoyed this one, but you could tell they were leaving a lot of plot lines open because they are definitely making more. There's already a third one in development, and you can tell that they're going to plan on maybe wrapping up some of this stuff in the future. But so there's a lot of stuff left open. There's kind of we're following Minerva through a good chunk of the movie, then all of a sudden we shift to this other woman who's got her car breaks down in the middle of the desert, and then it's her story for pretty much the last 20 minutes of the movie is about this person. So some of the narrative, this is not quite as smooth. That being said, it was still very good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and the power of the first movie really kind of helped me ride through the second one as well. I'm very excited to see what they do with the third one. The third one is supposed to be like a social media group going out to try to find this cabin shack that the original hiker in the first movie found, and try to uncover what he was able to uncover. And so I'm interested to see how that goes. I would say that how much I enjoyed the first movie, the second movie was decent as well. I'm very much excited to see how the third one goes. So this is a series that's called Horror in the High Desert. The director of all of them so far has been Dutch Marriage. I believe he's going to be the director of the next one. It's definitely indie movie. I found them on VOD. The first one is on Amazon. They're both, the first and the second one are both on Tubi as well, which you can watch for free with some ads that will be playing throughout the movies, of course. But you can see them that way. And I was able to watch the first one on Amazon with no ads. A second one I had to watch on Tubi with the ads. But very good movies, very enjoyable. Again, if the slow burn kind of deal is not your style, I could definitely see somebody getting bored. But it is, if you're able to ride through it, it is definitely a lot of fun with a very impactful ending in the first one, and a lot of kind of creepiness factor throughout the second one, honestly. Very excited to see what they do with the third one. All right, so that's my ramble for today on these. We'll have a couple more movie rambles coming up in the next few days. Hopefully I won't have a week off like I just had, but I'll just say I just had not had a chance to sit down and do this. We've had so much going on in the house. But hopefully we'll be able to get back on top of things. And while I don't promise to have a daily video anymore, I am hopeful that we'll do a little bit more than we have been the last week. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for putting up with a little bit of quiet time. And thank you for listening to me ramble, as always. And we'll talk again soon. Thank you.